Hello. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Hanging with Heather. I'm Heather. Anyways, sorry, I'm thirsty. Anyways, I'm mentally exhausted right now. It was a pretty intense evening. My oldest kid, who has autism, had a wiggly tooth and freaked out over it. So it wasn't good. Anyways, I wanted to mention something that I saw this morning, and it's since been deleted from Twitter. But basically, François Legault, who is the premier of Quebec, had tweeted out something from Le Journal du Québec, and it was about construction and how there's more people being employed in construction, and great, there's new jobs, but completely bypasses the subject of people who lost their jobs in other industries and how there's huge unemployment in Quebec. Anyways, this guy, I don't think I should mention who it was because it's since been deleted, wrote he wrote basically, why are post-doctoral individuals who have such high levels of education, who work in research and science and quote unquote things that are important for society, why are they not being as well paid as plumbers? Or he wrote les gruyers, so people who operate cranes. So in Quebec, crane operators get paid over $100,000 a year. And plumbers, it depends on if they own their own plumbing business like we do, could potentially earn quite a bit of money, and they charge a lot of money per hour. But one of the reasons we charge a lot per hour is because we have so many costs involved with doing the work. And I was like, does this guy not know simple economics? Because he's like, that's not normal. It's not normal for someone with a postdoctoral to earn less than a plumber. Somehow his employment is more valuable than a plumber or someone who operates a crane. And I wrote back to him because, as someone who's a first-year plumber, I wrote, yeah, it is normal because it's based on supply and demand. And what I'm getting at is that science and medicine here in Quebec is socialized. So it's controlled by the government. And this domain, relies on a very limited supply of money given to them by the government. And this supply has to go to research, medicine, all these different things. And there are a lot of qualified workers who do that. So a lot of people in Quebec go to university and get degrees and have this dream of being a researcher and discovering things and being valued in society. And then they find out that there's no money in it. You spend hundreds of thousands of dollars going into debt to get a college degree, a university degree, getting your master's degree, getting your doctorate, getting postdoctoral degrees. And then you come out and you're earning $35,000 a year, $40,000 a year. I don't know. I have no idea what they get paid. But, and then you see someone who may have less education than you do, and they're getting 5 or 6 times more money in salary per year. So it's a supply and demand thing. If people don't want to become plumbers, but the job is extremely necessary and isn't going to be replaced anytime soon by machines or AI or anything like that. And nobody wants to deal, well, not nobody, but very few people want to deal with other people's shit, especially if you're doing service plumbing, which is in high demand. I mean, other plumbing like industrial or commercial, it's pretty like clean, I guess you could say. Um, the stuff Dominic and I work in is residential service, um, renovation. It's not luxurious all the time. Um, but yeah, and it's also a physically demanding job. That like I'm not working in it. I'm not on the tools at this moment. I'm just helping out in the office, and part of that is because, excuse me, since Christmas time, because of the lockdown and everything, our oldest kid with autism hasn't returned to school. Oh my gosh, this is horrible. Um, and he hasn't returned to school because of anxiety. And the interesting thing is, he's not afraid of like catching COVID or anything like that. It's just that with his autism, he can't handle changes. And there's just been way too many changes this year. So I'm at home with him most of the time and trying to get him to learn, trying to get him back into a routine and doing the business side from home. And Dominic is on the tools when he can. But it also means that because we're going to be putting Jacob in therapy and he's seeing more doctors at the moment, we've had to drop one of our contractors that we had in Montreal. So a little bit less money, but not too much less money. And but yeah, going back to this rando's tweet about why postdoctoral people don't get paid as much as plumbers. Look what happened in Texas. Okay. Poor Texas had freak weather, lost electricity. Okay. People were without electricity to heat their homes. Their pipes were exposed. There was water still in them, and the pipes burst. You need plumbers for that. And people have been without water, clean drinking water, for days. You can't survive that long without clean drinking water. And Dominic and I, like over the weekend, we saw a plumber saying, like, on the first day, he had 2,200 calls in 24 hours. Like, that's insane. Insane. I have no idea how big his plumbing company was, but to get that many calls in 24 hours, to me, shows the severity of the situation. Like, if there was a crisis, I don't think we would need your postdoctoral degree to get us through that crisis. Like, you need someone with the skills to manually fix those issues. Anyways, he wrote back to me, not in French and English, and the tweet's not there anymore. He deleted it. And then I mentioned to him that I think pay also depends on who the client is for, your research. Is it from the private or the public domain? If it's a company like Procter and Gamble or a drug company, they want the best research possible and they're going to pay top dollar for it. But if your client is like the Quebec government, their wallet, their coffers are based off of how much they tax people. And that's limited because they can't overtax people to the point that nobody wants to work anymore. And people are disincentivized to create businesses like myself. And you can't control where they put their money. So during this whole COVID thing, the Quebec government has been, well, at first they were spending $13 million a month on advertising on like reminding people that COVID still exists and you need to wash your hands. And then I think it went up to $14 million. That didn't go into research. It didn't go into healthcare. It was just for advertising. And if that's your client, you're at the beck and call of that client. Anyways, oh yeah, at the end, I'm like, but your pay is not an indication of your spending habits. Hashtag Dave Ramsey. I had to add that in there. He liked it. And then he deleted all of his tweets. But yeah, so like you could be earning $300,000 a year, but if you're spending, sorry, I move a lot. If you're spending $350,000 a year, it's always going to feel like you never have enough money. And you could potentially envy people or covet other people or be jealous of other people who earn slightly more than you. And to me, it's a lack of self-reflection. I keep shaking the camera. Anyways, yeah, it's a total lack of self-reflection. So even if Dominic and I, we own the plumbing company, that doesn't mean we pay ourselves a lot of money, because payroll is one of the biggest expenses for a company. And we try and keep as much money in the company right now as possible because we are in the beginning stages of our company. We've only been around for like a year and a half, 2 years. And we have to make sure our accounts are paid, and we have to make sure that we have enough money for taxes, and like we keep operating the company as debt-free as possible. Because look what happened. Like a year and a half into opening our business, the pandemic hit and the Quebec government shut down like whole industries. And here in Quebec, they shut down construction for a while as well. And all we could do was answer emergency calls. So if we were highly indebted, the probability of us going bankrupt and closing down our business and having to pay back those things with personal cash it's really high. So we want to keep our business as debt free as possible, so that like if business goes up or goes down for periods of time, so like we can survive that, especially during like the first 3 to 5 years. It's not like we're a tech company or something that can just like you know sell or easily produce the product. Like we are physically there, physically present to uh, make the changes, to make the plumbing changes, and it's like a per hour business. So that's what's different about that. Anyways, yeah, pay Dave Ramsey. Man, I hope that guy thinks about it a little bit, because the risk, like if you look at the other job he was criticizing, which was crane operator, it's so risky. Like you're thousands of feet. Not, excuse me, that's an over exaggeration. Like you're hundreds of feet off the ground, and you're monitoring the wind, you're monitoring the weather, you're monitoring like the people on the ground. So you're lifting extremely heavy objects, and you're responsible for so much, because if you drop that, like I remember doing my health and safety course and how dangerous that job is. And like if that crane, if you stay up there when it's too windy and that crane gets knocked over, like you're dead. You're dead. And you could kill people very easily in that job. So it's very dangerous, and a lot of safety precautions have to be taken. And same thing with plumbing. It's like you could get injured so easily. Like the tools that you use, the environment that you're in constantly, like the dust, silica in your lungs, asbestos, like there's so many dangers that, and it can be so physically demanding on your body that you don't last that long. You might do it for 15, 20 years. But after that, you know, if you were not careful on the job, you're going to be out of the job pretty quick. Like we know a young guy, I don't even think he's 30 yet. His back is already done. Like, um, he was off work for a long time because his back. Anyways, done with Twitter. that was like a very mentally stimulating tweet this morning where I could just look at this guy's tweet and be like, you know, what in the world is he thinking? Like maybe he was just emotional about it. Maybe that's it. Maybe he's overspent and his bad spending habits. And I don't know, I don't know what's going on in this guy's personal life. And to see someone who gets paid more than you and complaining to the premier of the province because you think you don't get paid enough. Like, come on, people. Like, anyways, poor guy. I'll pray for him. God bless him. Yeah. Anyways, so last time, I think it was last Friday, I was talking to you guys about my neurofeedback EEG results that I got. And when I was talking to my husband about it and I was mentioning to people, the more I think back in my memories, I was like, whoa, I was really impacted by the speech problems, the things related to executive function disorder, and the attention. So I was thinking when I was in university, this is way before Dominic and I were married and doing the plumbing stuff. Excuse me. I started drinking coffee when I was 11 years old. And I was like, that's really young to start drinking coffee. But I remember it so clearly. I was 10 or 11 and it was Saturday morning. My dad would make a big pot of coffee. And I asked him, whatever is left, can I drink it? So usually if there was a cup left in there, I would get it and I would put milk in it, no sugar. And I would go to my bedroom and I could do my homework. That was the only time I could really focus as a kid on my homework, and my memory improved. So I just grade 3, grade 4, grade 2 even, I have no memories from that. But around the time that I started taking a natural stimulant, which was coffee, my memory improved and my ability to focus and do my homework improved. So I started to get better grades in school. And what was the other thing I was remembering? Oh yeah, my dad. So my dad had certain habits. So how he organized his paper, it was always in piles, and it would drive my mom crazy because it looked so messy. Excuse me. But I actually have the exact same organizing style. And if I would turn the camera around, you would see I have a pile for business taxes, a pile for personal taxes. I have my pile of investment papers. I've got all these different stacks, but I know where everything is in the stack. And one time, so my dad at his office when he was alive, he had one desk that was just for writing, and then he had a second desk just for his papers. So he had no filing cabinets, nothing. He would just have these giant stacks of paper. But he knew where everything was, and everything was at his fingertips, so that if, he got a call, it was right there and he would pull it out. And, he wouldn't have to send the secretary to look through a whole bunch of filing cabinets. It was just always right there. And also in the job that he was in, which was like a communication security establishment in Ottawa. Um, he oh, he needed really good peripheral attention, and that's what the neuropsychologist diagnosed me with. So one of the reasons why I can't focus very well is that I'm always paying attention to my surroundings. I'm always like on alert around me. Like I can't just like stop and focus on a task. So if my kids are around, if I'm always listening for stuff, I'm always, and for my dad, that was very important for his job and it's a skill that he had. So I found that really fascinating. And then what was the other thing? Uh, there was attention, there was memory. Um, well, one of the parts of executive functioning disorder is um, the inability to complete tasks. Sometimes it's the inability to initiate tasks. And in my case, it's like I can never, well, I have never, excuse me, hung up pictures. Like you don't see any here. We haven't finished the walls yet. But in my house in general, I don't have pictures on my wall. And I'm not against not having pictures. It's just I've never gotten around to doing it in like the whole time I've been married or anything like that. Um, and I would like to put up pictures, you know. I would like to have picture frames of my children, of my family up on the walls, but I've just never gotten around. It's not a priority to me, I guess. Or if it is a priority, I don't know where to start, or um, it's just too daunting, I guess you could say. And then one of the other things, I just had it in my brain. Oh, yeah, sending Christmas cards. Like, I've never sent Christmas cards. I even remember from my wedding, it was the most challenging task to send thank you notes. And I don't even think I sent all of them. But yeah, like some of these things that are very, you know, for other people, it's a wonderful thing to look forward to send Christmas cards or receive Christmas cards. I love receiving them and I appreciate them. And I love the people who send them and I'm grateful for it. But I've never been able to send them myself. And I think some years I'm like, oh yeah, this year I'm gonna send Christmas cards and I'll buy them. And then it just never happens. And I just never figured out why. Like I could allocate time in my schedule to do the Christmas cards. I would in my head think of things to write, but it just never happened. And I think most people would look at that and be like, you know, you didn't follow through, you didn't complete the task, and would find a lot of fault with me. But now that I see it, like you can actually see it in my brain, how I can get confused, how I can get off task very easily. Um, it makes a lot more sense, way more sense. Uh, some of the things. And uh, I think back that one of the other parts that they found was my problem with speech. And it really came out quite obviously in my last video, less so today because I have um, more of a train of thought. I wrote things down beforehand and like it's still happening. I can see it's still happening and I forget words all the time. But I actually have memories when I was younger. One, I think I was like 9 years old and I was at dinner time and we were visiting someone. And I remember saying something, but like everyone got mad at me. And I realized that I hadn't said the words properly. And so it came out in the exact opposite meaning of my intention. And I got in trouble for it. And I was trying to apologize. And, oh, it was just like getting in trouble when you don't understand why you're getting into trouble because you can't say things properly. Mhm. Yeah, that sucks. And then there was another time, it was probably more recent, 6 years ago, I think. I couldn't identify who was calling me. Like, I heard the voice and I recognized the voice, but I couldn't quite tell who was calling me. And when I was talking to the person, I thought I knew who the person was. And I was talking, but my speech wasn't coming out correctly. And what was the weird thing that happened? Like, you have trouble controlling when you start talking, and you have trouble controlling when you end talking. So you end up talking over people. Like, you hear them and you're listening to them, but your words are 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 over their words. Like, it's hard to explain. Um, and you could tell, like, I could tell in the conversation that I was screwing up big time. Like, and I just wanted to end it because I knew, like, the person was frustrated or thought I was an idiot or whatever. But, now that I know that it is something that I have to deal with in my brain, I'm much more forgiving. Like, totally much more forgiving of myself. Like, anyways, teachers, uh, take a oh, my daughter's teachers are so nice. We switched schools. I'm so happy we switched schools. So I took them out of the French school board here in Quebec and I put them in the English school board. And honestly, I don't know why I didn't do that sooner. It was one of the best things I did. Um, great teachers and completely different environment. I don't know how to explain it to people, how the French school system in Quebec has a completely different approach to education than the English system. And this is not for special needs kids, okay? This is for neurotypical children. Because our oldest kid who has special needs is still in the French school system. But my girls and my next kid are going to be in the girls are already in the English system, and then my next kid is going to be also joining them in the English school system. I don't know, like I can't quite tell what the difference is between. I can't put my finger on it. There's just something about the approach to the children and how the children grow and learn and trying to meet the kids where they're at, you know, socially, emotionally, and there's a more forgiving environment if a kid makes a mistake. And I don't know, like they're not willing to give up on the kid. So my third kid, who I now realize probably has all the same issues that I have, um, she started kindergarten 4, and it was just so bad. She was always in French, we call it the TES. So it's like, I don't know if it's like a social worker or a special needs person, but if kids are struggling or have a breakdown or whatever, they have to go to her office and she has to deal with them. And then she has to call the parents to say, come pick up your kids, or, it's not working out for your kid. And our daughter was just always there, like once a week at least, and sometimes twice a week or 3 times a week. And I was like, this isn't right. Like, how am I don't have problems with her at home, or very few problems, but here you guys can't deal with her. And it's not a language issue because she's perfectly bilingual. Like, she speaks French perfectly. And then she starts the English school. She had one episode. I explained to them how we deal with it. Never had a problem with her again. Had the parent teacher interview with the new school, and they understood her, and they got her, and it was no problem after that. And they love her to bits. So, and they know like the door is open with me. Like I'm not against them. I'm not fighting them. I'm there to support the teachers and give them tricks, or I let them know when she's not doing well. Yeah, so cross my fingers, everything goes well in the future. And that next year she has great teachers again. But man, it is so important for your kids to have a good start to school. Because if they start kindergarten and have a shitty experience, like you could ruin it for them. Like they'll hate school forever and they'll never want to learn and they won't put in their best effort. But if you get them a really good teacher that they love to go to, then they're excited for school in the morning. They're going to do their homework and they're just all around better natured, right? And it just helps with their emotional and social development. So, yeah. Anyways, that's pretty cool. And I can't believe I've already been talking for 31 minutes. Anyways, I've been talking a lot better today. I think it's because I went for a nice long walk before I started this. I'm already in lockdown. We've been in lockdown for an hour and 40 minutes, or curfew, or whatever they call it. Anyways, that's it. That was my interesting day. I have no idea when I'm going to start the neurofeedback to help with the executive function disorder, the attention problems, and the speech stuff. But hopefully it's soon. We're definitely going to let Jacob, our oldest, start first. Yes, because I'm like, oh, if I could get some of these things to improve, like how much would my life improve? How much more? Because even on the business side, it affects the business. And I realize how much it affects the business. Like I see it affecting like my YouTube channel. Like I haven't gotten around to learning OSB. And like for my son's artwork, I was like, oh, I should learn how to like do that blockchain coding to encrypt his, not encrypt, sorry, but just to get his artwork, make his artwork digital so that he can sell it online and help him pay for, his cost of living. But yeah, no, still hasn't happened yet. But where was I going with that? The business? Yeah, just like doing invoices. Dominic and I struggle with that. And it's important for cash flow. Like you need to send out your invoices to get the money. And then if someone has a dispute with the invoice, like that takes longer. And not just doing the invoices, but like collecting the money and then making sure that, everything's up to date on your accounting software and getting your quarterly taxes done. Like Dominic struggles with that. I struggle with doing the accounting stuff. It's not that I don't get it. Like part of it is enjoyable for me, but part of it isn't enjoyable. And I'm not motivated to learn or understand it. Anyways, I have no idea how much we made last year. No idea. I know it was impacted by COVID and the lockdowns here in Quebec, but we're not underwater or anything, and we're not drowning. All right, I'm going to let everybody go. It was wonderful being on here tonight, and hopefully I sound better and I'm talking more coherently, and that with each episode that I do, my speech improves and my thoughts improves and the quality of these videos improve. So I bid you farewell. Have a wonderful evening. or whatever time of day it is when you watch this, and, yeah, plumbers rule. Yeah, plumbers are awesome. Good night. Bye-bye.